Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to the We Know Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. I'm your host, the Duke of Deception, Pooya Zanvakili, ready to continue talking about these lovely people from Traitors Season 3 of the US coming in on January 9th. We are going to talk today about a housewife from the Real Housewives of Dubai. Born and raised in Dubai, never seen the show, but excited to learn all about this person. And with me today is someone who will be very familiar to you if you are a fan, and you should be, of Australian Survivor or of the Housewives, because last year this person joined us and broke down everybody from the Housewives franchise for us, gave us all we needed to know, the one and only expert. We're back here with Nick Iadanza today. Nick, how you doing?
Pooya, I'm so glad to be here, but I have to correct you. You said the word "these lovely people" who are going to be on Traitors, and while I love watching the Housewives, there's nothing lovely about these people. They are flawed, beautiful, hilarious, dumb, funny, smart, incredibly dumb, incredibly smart, amazing, but definitely not lovely. And that is why I love watching The Real Housewives, and that is why I love coming on here to break it all down for you.
Well, I'm so excited because all the things you just used to describe them, I felt a lot of feelings. And as long as they make me feel feelings, I think we're in the right place here.
That's what's so good about them. They're just these like walking contradictions, these heavily flawed people, and they just make such good television. And then like not only do like there's like all the housewives make good television, then the Traitors gets to come in and pick the ones that make the best. It's like a recipe for success. And they've picked some good ones. They've picked some very, very good ones this year.
So I'm very excited. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to be because I think the lovely thing about us doing this podcast is we're educating a lot of people on, and myself included, on a lot of the people that we don't know about. But I think, for example, some of the more established franchises in New York and Jersey, and these are people who some people are going to be familiar with. I believe the Real Housewives of Dubai came and went, if I know this correctly. So Chanel is going to be one that a lot of people are going to be learning about for the first time here.
Yeah. So this year, the second season aired. So she was on both of them. She was the breakout star of both of those seasons. It was the first time that there was like an international city that was like an American franchise, but an international city. And it was great, the first season. And I actually really I haven't finished watching the second season. It's actually funny that you asked me to do Ayan, because I was actually watching it when I had my appendix out.
Wow.
And while I was like knocked out, I started watching season 2. So it's actually good timing. But I also found out recently when it was announced that they have cancelled the show. Now, when I say cancelled, they've rested the show. And that it's funny because if anyone out there is a Bravo fan, you'll know that like the show's been put on pause. And the phrase "on pause" is a trigger word for one of our other traitors this season in Dorinda Medley. So what "on pause" means is it's not going to be going just yet, but maybe in the future. And Andy Cohen famously put Dorinda on pause. And that caused that. If anyone says those words to her, she will basically annihilate you because she is a demon from hell. So so the show Dubai has been put on pause, which is a shame because there's some really, really funny, good stuff in that show.
So I have watched, and this is a while back. So it was when the cast had just dropped and we were doing a quick podcast. I had watched a bit of a highlight reel from her.
Yeah.
I don't remember much from it, but what I do remember is she indeed was giving main character energy to me.
Yes.
And it sounds like she does come out of this show as like the poster.
Definitely. And it's funny because like the show was almost kind of built around this other person called Caroline Stanbury, who she was on Ladies of London, which was another Bravo show back in the day. Okay. And then kind of built this show around her. She's the one like white woman in the cast. And so people thought that she was going to be the standout. And while she is probably the most famous and recognizable, Ayan definitely kind of like took the spotlight from her and became like, and especially their feud, which was this kind of like breakup, makeup thing, took on like kind of the arc of the 2 seasons. So, but she's definitely the standout. And like any scene she's in, she steals the scene. And a lot of it is genuine and she's very like authentic. but I gotta say, a lot of it is so performative.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the I love, and I call her Ayan. Like people call her Ayan or Chanel Ayan. So most people call her Ayan.
Okay.
She is someone who is very knowledgeable of the Real Housewives franchise and the Bravo verse. It's kind of hard to become a housewife these days and not be aware of the kind of franchise. It's very much changed from what it used to be back in the day when people would just didn't really know what show they were signing up for, and
Mhm.
it wasn't really kind of. But nowadays, it's so just like every show. It's so obvious. So she is very performative, and she often like cops flack from viewers because she plays into that too much. But she's given TV. She's making
Right.
moments. She's making things we talk about. She's got stuff in highlight reels. She gifts people goats as thank you or apology presents. She's always wearing these like big, wacky, zany outfits. She is someone who like understands the assignment. And that's why I think like she has been chosen for this show, because she will chew the scenery until there is nothing left in that castle.
I think that, especially for the traders, you need people who know how to go about having a camera in front of them. And it sounds like
Yeah.
she's someone who not only will do that, but then go above and beyond when it's on.
Above and beyond. Her favorite thing is to call people basic. That's her favorite thing.
Oh, no.
So she loves to call people basic, and she will call anyone basic. But the problem is that she often calls herself iconic, and it's like, you can't call yourself iconic. That's for other people to call you. But
Right.
in many ways, she is iconic. The problem is that the franchise itself has clicked with a lot of viewers, but like not like the majority of viewers. So there are people who will watch like all the Housewives, but not Dubai
Okay.
for some reason. And I think it is that kind of international thing. People, don't think that they think that it's kind of like a sister show when really it is one of the integral shows. So it's a shame that it's been cancelled, because she is really funny, and I really like some of the other people on the cast as well. And I could see them I could absolutely see them getting Caroline Stanberry, the other woman I was talking about, for Traitors season 4 for sure.
Well, they've been renewed for 2 more. So I definitely, if you're thinking you're feeling good about it, I can see it, especially if she does deliver. I could see them going into the Dubai well here.
For sure.
So you mentioned that she's very well versed in the Bravo verse.
Very.
How do you know this?
Okay, so she's one of those like chronically online reality stars who is
Okay.
always not so much in the comments, but like is always like commenting on things that don't relate to her at all.
Mhm.
So like she loves kind of like getting in amongst it. So one of the things that's kind of funny is most people know Teresa Judas from Real Housewives of New Jersey, and
Yes.
one of her best friends is on this season in Dolores. Teresa is my most hated Real Housewife ever.
Don't watch House of Villains.
Yeah, no, I am watching House of Villains. I am watching House of Villains, yeah. I
Okay.
can't stand Teresa. Anyway, so Teresa got married last year or a couple of years ago, and she had met Chanel Ayan like 2 days before her wedding, and then Ayan was at the wedding and posting about it, and was like all of a sudden like in this kind of like taking photos with all these like other, basically just like everyone was just calling her so thirsty because she's just like so desperate to kind of get in with the Real Housewives cliques. And then so basically, if you know anything about Teresa, you'll know that she's been this long-standing feud with her sister-in-law Melissa, who is on the show, and I'm a Melissa fan. And Chanel Ayan will insert herself into comments about Melissa, and just kind of, even though she's never known Teresa, she'll just be like calling out Melissa, just like things that don't relate to her. And it's like, Ayan, just like step aside for 2 seconds. This is you. I know you're the face of your franchise, but you can't be the face of the other one. But that's why we love her, because she's messy, impulsive, she's funny, and she does not know when to stop. Right? She's got impulse control problems, and we love her for that, because she is outrageous, she's wacky, and she loves a moment.
Okay. So to now go into the traders conversation of it all, I think out the gate, the question I want to ask you is, because you're also very well versed with the rest of the housewives here.
Yeah.
If they're picking a housewife to be a trader this season, does she have a shot at getting that opportunity, do you think?
I would be very surprised if they chose her, because I think she's actually very smart, but she always talks about how she's not smart. Like she'll like not like she will say like, oh, this is too much for me. Let's just have fun. And she's like, let's just be wacky and zany. But she does talk about how she's like started a successful business and she's been a supermodel for a really long time. Her husband's an entrepreneur. She's got this great relationship with her son. She has this. She's not dumb, but I don't think she has the impulse control that is required of a traitor. So I would be extremely surprised if the producers chose her to be a traitor. And I would be even more surprised if not only the producers chose her, but if there was a point where they needed to recruit someone, that anyone would ever recruit Ayan. So I would be going in there being like, she is got full faith, full energy for me.
For you, I think that's the operative word, because everything you've described for me, Nick, what I feel like is going to happen based off of that is she's going to be on top of many people's lists as someone to banish at a round table because they're suspicious. And I feel like that's a huge mistake, not only because, to your point, this is not somebody who would be picked to be a traitor, but also I don't think I'd want to be the person accusing her of being a traitor at a round table. I feel like that's a big mistake.
In terms of that she will kind of come after them.
Yeah.
Do you know what? She is definitely not the scariest housewife there.
Okay.
Like, of the four, the one that I would be comfortable going up against in a verbal argument would be her. She's
wow.
funny. She's funny, right? And she can read people. But like, the person I would be the most scared of going up against is Dorinda Medley. Like, she is insane. Like, there's a reason why she's one of the most iconic housewives ever. Like, I would never be going up against Dorinda in a round table situation. Dorinda needs to be murdered at nighttime when no one knows that it's going to be you, because Dorinda holds grudges. Ayan is someone who can, like, she holds a grudge. She's in this very huge fight at the moment with one of her former best friends who she was friends with for 8 years before the show even started. And that grudge is continuing in real life, but that's a lot more complicated. I feel like if I was someone out there and I got into a fight with her, I could probably easily kind of mend that fence. But I would not be trying to do that with with Dorinda. And if Dolores gets on your bad side, you ain't ever getting off that bad side. Like, she is nowhere near as cruel as Dorinda is a cruel person. But Dolores is not. But I would be afraid to go against her. Robin, she's like wallpaper. And Ayan is just funny and wacky, and you can almost disregard her.
Okay, so my next question for you is, who do you see Ayan working with? Who do you think she would gravitate towards? Let's talk about the housewives first, and then we can open it up to the rest of the cast, and I can get your insight there.
Sure. She is super aware of the Bravo-verse, and she will very much want to work with those people. I know that she would have a relationship with Dolores because she's friends with Teresa. So, and she would have been with her at her wedding, and she would just know her from that. And Dorinda was also at that wedding, so she would know Dorinda at the minimum from there. I could also see Dorinda going after her, because Dorinda's not going to go after Dolores. I can just tell you that for free, unless something big happens. Like, she would never try and make TV by going, and Dorinda's very aware of making TV. I don't think she would ever try and go after Dolores. Because Dolores has the highest approval rating of any housewives amongst the fans.
Oh, wow.
There is no housewife in the history of the show who has as much fan support as Dolores. And I mean past, present, and future. There's no one who dislikes Dolores, and there's no one who dislikes Dolores on the show. If you have a fight with Dolores, it's because she's come for you, not because you've come for her. So people are not going to want to kind of like someone in the Bravoverse like Dorinda and Ayan, people who are so aware of like audience perception, are not going to be going up against Dolores. But to go back to your original question, which was, remind me about who would she not work with?
Who would she work with? Who would she connect with?
She'll want to work with Dolores. She will want to work with Sierra, and because she's also part of the Bravoverse. But she's also aware that Bravo fans hate Tom Sandoval, so she's going to want to go after Tom Sandoval. So those are I think she will try and play nice with all the housewives because she's a clout chaser. But then I think that the Sandoval thing will be like an obvious thing that she will go against. But yeah, Sierra as well. She will want to work with Sierra. And I also saw that there was a comment she'd made that she loves Zac Efron's brother.
Oh,
So, yeah.
well, find out more about Dylan and how that connection goes, because that is
Yeah.
a huge blind spot for me. Of the survivors in the cast, who do you think she could connect with?
I liken her to Caroline. She's very much like Caroline. Like
Okay.
she's because like one of the words that people often to describe Caroline is like this kind of wacky, kooky, zany. And in terms of like housewives, Ayan is up there in the conversation of like the most kookiest, zaniest. Like she does strange things. So she'll gift people like she'll bring someone a pineapple, and that's like a gesture. And she'll say, "You're spiky on the outside, but you're juicy on the inside." She will bring someone a pot of lemons because that's some gesture of like, I was sour and now I want to be sweet. She, like I said, she's gifted someone a goat before. She got into like a season-long fight with someone about how close she was sitting to Beyonce at a Beyonce concert. She's just a wacky person. She is friends with Rihanna, like the singer Rihanna, like it through DMs and things like that. I don't know. So she's just a messy, zany person who is probably not as calculated and as on it as Carolyn is, but like I definitely can see people thinking that is a match there.
Okay.
I could see someone like Tony not Tony's not an Ayan person. These are two
Okay.
people that are not gonna mesh. They're not gonna mesh. I'm very interested to see these two worlds colliding, but I don't see them being friends.
It's going to be very fascinating to see these different personalities come together in this weird platform. What was I going to ask you? I'm like blanking for a second here. So you mentioned, we already talked about the Traitors and Faithful thing. We think more so Faithful. What's her confessional game like? What's she like in the confessionals?
Yeah, her confessional game is very good. She's very good. She's funny. She has like a catchphrase where she says like period dot kind of thing. That's like her catchphrase, like that she said in her first ever episode, and she kind of like squeezes the life out of that quote now. She's very funny. She is self-deprecating, so she's very
Love
charming,
that.
very endearing. I have a real soft spot for her. Like, so there are other people on the show that, like, if I'm watching it, I might be on my phone or, but whenever it's a Ayan scene, I'm locked in. She is very endearing, I think. And she has an incredible backstory. She has such an incredible backstory. So she's a Kenyan Somali, she's a model. Grew up in extreme poverty in this small, this is her words, in a small village in the middle of nowhere. And this is a bit of a trigger warning because it's a little bit sad. So skip forward maybe 30 seconds. But she was a victim of female genital mutilation and female circumcision at the hands of, her father. And it was this really, it's this thing that's traumatized her that she mentioned on season 1 in a therapy session. She'd never mentioned it before. And now she kind of like is an advocate for that issue. But she also says how that kind of like brought her to like, when that kind of came out, that brought her to like the lowest moment of her life. And she was extremely depressed because of the bullying and people always talking about it and, how she feels different because of that trauma. So it is a fascinating story. It's a sad story, but it is so endearing. And she is so strong and brave. So she has like kind of like layers to her that she's, obviously I've started this whole thing saying that she's this kooky, wacky, crazy person who's really funny and like will wear these outrageous outfits, but she's got a lot of heart, and that comes through in her confessional. So she can be the funny person, but she also has that kind of like heart. Now I know that the Traitors is probably not going to kind of like lean into that as much as something like the Housewives would or Survivor, but just know that there are depths to her that is like, she's more than just like this incredibly beautiful face and like this, really funny person. But yeah, going back to the costumes, I call them costumes because she basically every episode, every scene she treats like a bloody fashion show. Like she will wear like ball gowns to go sand duning in the desert. She wears these like tremendously long wigs and these zany, I don't know anything about fashion, but like just these like crazy outfits that like she's always kind of like hogging the limelight. And I feel like she will go like, there's obviously an aesthetic to the Traitors. I think that she's going to lean so heavily into that aesthetic, which a lot of people enjoy about her and about her confessionals, because she's, for example, I was watching one the other night. She had these two giant lion heads, like her shoulders were like two giant white lions, and she's just like sitting there having this like conversation. What is going on here? Like, so yeah, so what she's wearing in that photo there is incredibly understated.
This is the perfect show for her, I think, because the looks are definitely encouraged, and it sounds like she's going to bring us a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I hope she lasts for a long time.
I hope so too. I hope so, because everything you're telling me, because I definitely just, when you're watching the clips, you are getting this like someone who definitely thinks their stuff doesn't stink and like they're the main and everyone else is stupid. But I do love hearing that she can be self-deprecating and be aware like that. And you mentioned she can she can do some investigating, maybe figure some people out. So I'm very intrigued by her. Is there anyone else of the housewives you want to touch on a little bit here before we wrap up?
I'd love to. I've mentioned Dorinda, but like I think that Dorinda is someone that if we lose Dorinda early, like you don't know what you're missing out. Have you ever seen Dorinda have you ever seen any parts of Real Housewives of New York? Okay, so Dorinda joined the show like, I'll just do this really, really quickly because it's not a Dorinda episode, but like she joined the show like into the show's run because she was actually real life friends with all the people that were already on the show, like Morgans and Luann, Countess Luann, all these kind of people you might have heard of. So like she actually had like real connections to these people. And when she joined, everyone was like, oh, like she's like the voice of reason. She's like the audience surrogate. And like she was really funny and like super funny and like has so many iconic lines like clip and like, I'll tell you how I'm doing, not well, bitch. Like she's just got these like, she's a quote machine, right? But then she just started to turn, and like a lot of it, far be it from me to kind of diagnose anyone, but I do think she struggles with alcohol use. A lot of people talk about that. And she is someone who she just became crueler and crueler and crueler as the show went on. And she is not afraid to cut someone down to the core. And she's very self-righteous and always thinks she's right, which is why she makes beautiful television. But she is someone who this is a great show for her because she will think she's right about a hunch and she will barrel through with it and she will kind of like eviscerate you just and like the round table I think will be made for her. Like she will attack anyone, maybe not Dolores, but like
anyone else.
Yeah, she's also someone who like didn't get the note from the audience that like we love you, and she had a very high approval rating, but you're becoming too cruel, like you're unreasonable. She never took the note, which in some ways is authentic, but in other ways it was like she got put on pause for being too cruel. And then when they brought her back for Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, which was like a group of former housewives brought together for like a kind of special. They actually did it at her house, and she lives in this beautiful stone house, very much like the Traitors Castle, not that big, in the Berkshires. And it was at her house, and she just became an even more unhinged demon. And basically, the audience was like, okay, we thought you would have got the note, but you haven't because you're actually like an unwell person. So she is someone who I'm so excited that they're going to bring her into this arena. Because no one fights like Dorinda. Like I beg everyone out there to go and watch supercuts of Dorinda on YouTube, on TikTok, whatever. Like there is so much good stuff there. Like she once told someone that they should put an easy pass on their vagina because it's like the Holland Tunnel, and like yelled this in front of a crowd of people. And this was one of her best friends. And it's just like, wow, I salute you, Dorinda. Like there's nothing you won't do. Like I salute that.
Well, I'm telling you this right now. I'm very excited. Very excited. I feel like doing this series has been great this season because more so than last season, even I feel like I'm going in knowing more, and it's making me more excited for the show. And I have to thank y'all for bringing me in and shedding the light on this. So this is gonna be fun, and I'm very excited.
Who's your pick for who's going to be a traitor? Do you have any picks or thoughts so far?
So my thoughts were, I've kind of done them in breadths, where it's like if a survivor is part of the traitors, I think it's going to be Tony or Boston Rob. I just don't see them going Jeremy, even though Jeremy's the best pick there. I think it's going to be one of them two. I just don't see a world where they don't offer it up to Danielle Reyes from Big Brother. I could see that being another easy one. And then we come down to who would it be from the Bravo side, the housewife side, because I do think there's quite a few people, quite a few options there. And so I'm not sure about that yet. I haven't talked to all of the housewife reps yet, but I'm feeling good about some of the prospects here.
I think that they will. I'm worried. Will they repeat the same thing where it's like a Bravo and a kind of CBS?
I hope not. That's
yeah.
the
I
hope.
can see them trying to kind of pivot away from that. And I do think that there's not one obvious housewife person they should choose, because Dorinda, I think, will be better when she's like being self-righteous and like a pit bull trying to chase down the people. So I think you should leave her for that. I think Ayan probably can't pull off being a traitor from what I know of her. I think Robin is too sleepy and boring. I'm so surprised they chose Robin for this. Like, I am so I actually think it's because they fired her before this, and it was like, look, we're going to let you go, but we will put you on the traitors.
The severance package. Like, here you go. One last shot.
Yeah. So I could see her getting the charade treatment from like last year. I think that if I had to pick a Bravo person, it would be Dolores, but I could also see them going for Sierra.
Okay. Well, Nick, thank you so much for this today. This has been an absolute delight.
My pleasure.
Is there anything you would like to plug or let the people know to check out?
No, nothing at all. Just doing my thing. When I finally finish writing my book, Pooya, I will let people know where to buy it. But that is a long way off. So
And
until
when
then,
you do.
Yeah. Until then, we'll just chat online. Hit me up with your housewives takes. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Not really. So at Iadanza on all three of them. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, Nick. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with another one of these podcasts. But until then, take care. Have a good one. Bye.